Welcome to my preview of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl featuring 7-5 Mississippi State versus 6-6 Texas Tech. The game is going to be Tuesday, December 28th at 6:45 p.m. on ESPN. Mississippi State is favored in this one by 9.5 points and given a 68.4% chance of winning. Series history between these two programs, they actually have most of these bowl games that I'm playing that are playing this year that I'm previewing. I'm previewing every single bowl game, so make sure you hit that like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the bowl game previews. But most of the games I'm previewing is the first ever matchups. I mean, the bowl committees went with a lot of first-time selections to kind of give the bowl games a different feel this year. But this time, this is one of those few games I'm previewing that these teams have actually met before. Mississippi State owns the series so far, 4 wins to 2 losses. So 4 wins by Mississippi State, 2 wins by Texas Tech. First ever meeting was in 1953, a game Texas Tech won 27-20. The first ever Mississippi State win came in 1961, a 6-0 defeat of Texas Tech. There was a tie in the series. This was the first series I've previewed this year that's had a tie in it. 1968, a 28-28 tie there. And then from then on, Mississippi State won the last 2 games in 1969 and 1970, the last game being a 20-16 win by Mississippi State. Record reviews for these two teams. So going forward, what I predict, or going from the start of the season, what I was predicting for these teams, I was projecting a 6-6 record for Mississippi State, so shooting just above that. I really like Mike Leach. I think he's going to find success here in the SEC, but the air raid style offense is not one that you see a lot in the SEC. Certainly none of these players were recruited to come in and do that offense off the bat, so he's working with other guys. I knew it's going to take a while. It's probably going to take, really honestly, at least 3, maybe 4 years, if they'll give him that time, for him to really establish himself here. I think that it's interesting to see an air raid style offense of this nature, which is truly, I mean, they used to have teams that you call them air raid style, but they're not really. They still have a running back that gets near 1,000 yards. That's not Mississippi State. They are all the way through the air, and I think it's going to be interesting to see if this style offense can succeed here in the SEC. I think he is going to find success eventually. Is he going to find competing for SEC national SEC championships and competing for playoff spots success? I'm not so sure about that, so we're going to be interesting to watch the ride. However, 6-6, what I was projecting this year. Athlon Sports was also projecting 6-6, so Mississippi State shooting right about what was predicted this season. For Texas Tech, not at all close to what I was projecting. I didn't think that the Red Raiders would get bowl eligible this season. Pretty tough schedule ahead of them there. Some tough teams there in the Big 12 and a Texas Tech team that was frankly horrible last year. But they went. I was projecting a 3-9. Athlon Sports was also projecting they'd miss out on bowl season, going 5-7. Ended up getting 6-6. So just got to bowl eligibility, and here they are playing Mississippi State team here from the SEC. A Mississippi State team that might be 7-5, but they're one of those better 7-5 programs. So Texas Tech better look out in this one for sure. As far as how these teams got here, Mississippi State, they started off the season with a loss to Memphis, a 31-29 loss to Memphis, very, very close there. Memphis is a team that ended up the season going, I believe it was 6-6 here. I didn't actually write down Memphis's final record. I previewed them already, but it's not important. The main point here is that they lost to Memphis to start the season, but they also had some really close losses along the way. So in addition to that loss to Memphis, they had 3 losses this season that were by 3 points. So they're 3 points or 9 total points away. They're 9 total points away from having a 10-win season. That's how close Mississippi State was to success this year. And so I really think that Mike Leach and his system of offense here has taken Mississippi State from a team that really wasn't in this position where they were that close to having a great season or competing in the SEC to being a team that can compete with the top dogs in the SEC, because it's not, like I said, it's not an offense that anybody in the SEC is preparing for on a regular basis. And it's somewhere in my notes, but it doesn't matter. And Memphis, having a team that I think they got to bowl eligibility. I think they ended up going 6-6 this year. Main point is that was a bad loss for them off the bat there, but they had some really good wins along the way too. They had a win over a top 15 or number 15 team, Texas A&M, ended up the season number 23, and they also have a win over Auburn, who they finished the season on a bad run there, but I think Auburn is still a good team this year. Almost beating Alabama, took them to 4 overtimes to win that game. So Auburn, a very good team this year who just kind of sputtered down the stretch, but that win is a good win by Mississippi State for sure. So Texas Tech, let's look at them. Very, very different story for them. Really, the only quality win they have this season is against Houston. They ended up winning 38-21 to start the season against Houston. If they played them now, I don't think that would happen. I think they caught Houston unprepared for the start of the season. But Houston finishing this year 11-2 on a top 20 spot there. So that is a quality win for Texas Tech. However, the rest of the season, not at all that way. They had a 70 to 35 point loss against Texas. Baylor was a 3-point loss, but everything else was blowouts. So this is a Texas Tech team that I think that they're probably worse than this 6-6 record. Yeah, they're bowl eligible, but I think that this is not one of those teams that is a sneaky good team. I think this is a team that is at that 6-6 or less as far as quality of team overall goes. So top players here, Mississippi State, their top player is quarterback Will Rogers, one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. In fact, he is second overall in passing yards, only behind Zappe from Western Kentucky. 4,449 yards passing this season, 35 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. For Texas Tech, they really don't have anybody who jumps off the paper at you. They really don't. However, they do have one of the best kickers in the nation. Now, it's not a good sign when the kicker is your best player on the team, but it is a boost for a team that, you know, if you don't get it in the end zone, he's going to be able to push it through for you from deep. And this is a guy who can get in from deep for sure. 13 out of 14 on the season, 4 out of 5 from 50 plus, and he made a 62-yarder. Yeah, you heard me right, 62 yards. That's the longest of any kicker this season. So he's definitely a player you want to watch out for if Texas Tech stalls out in the red zone, which I think is going to be likely here going up against Mississippi State. Not that they have a great defense, but Texas Tech, just a team that's going to be outmatched, I think, against this SEC team. If they end up stalling out, they are going to be able to get some points on the board. Maybe they can get enough to stay close in this one. Mississippi State maybe make some mistakes, and Texas Tech may be able to come away with a win here. A lot of maybes in that statement, though, for Texas Tech to have to overcome. As far as keys to the game here, for Mississippi State, just work to your strength. Your strength is the air game. It's a Texas Tech team that gives up a lot of ground in the air, 265.6 yards per game in the air. They're actually pretty good against the run, so sub 150 against the run per game. So the run is not going to be your strength as for a team, and it's also a strength that Texas Tech has defending against. So just stay in the air. Sometimes you see some air raid style teams get to bowl game where they get to these major matchups, and they try to be something they're not. They try to establish the run game. They try to bring in some different weapons, and that's all well and good. You want to try and have a balanced attack, but if it's been working for you all season, it really has. I mean, those games that they lost, they were close, but I don't think the loss was necessarily due to purely because of the air game. If you just play to your strength, be the team you've been all season, stay through the air. Even Texas Tech is going to be ready for it, but you have enough players to be able to spread them out. Now, for Texas Tech, that's going to be their key here is don't allow them to spread them out. So ignore the flash and focus on the quarterback here. You're going to have a tendency with such a heavy passing attack to want to play coverage, but the fact is that Mississippi State has so many players, you're not going to be able to key in on any one guy. But if you can get to the quarterback, you're going to have success here because Rogers has been sacked 30 times this season. Now, it's going up against SEC defenses who are the best in the country, so take that stat with a little bit of a grain of salt there. But it is an air raid style offense. They don't have much of a running game. You don't have a defender that gets that. Put pressure on the quarterback. That's going to be your best key to success. As far as predictions in this one, I think Mississippi State rolls over an outmatched Red Raiders team who, frankly, I think the argument that the Big 12 is not a quality group, a Power 5, the argument that the Big 12 is not a Power 5 conference or not a legitimate Power 5 conference is not a good one. I respect the Big 12. I think they have a lot of good teams, a lot of quality programs. I don't rate them last in the country. I don't rate them mid. I think that they were a conference that overall they're better than the ACC. They're better than the Pac-12, and I think that on most seasons they line up well with the Big 10. So I think they're one of the top conferences in the country. However, this is not one of those top teams. So this is a Texas Tech team, barely bowl eligible, probably shouldn't even be bowl eligible. That Mississippi State here with Mike Leach should roll over. The best part of this game, honestly, is going to be the post-game interviews with Mike Leach when he talks about the blowout. So that's my prediction on this one. I'm calling Mississippi State with a win and over here on the over-under. Should be a great game for Mississippi State fans. Texas Tech fans, better luck next season. But bring your cowbells, Mississippi State fans, because this is going to be a loud one and a blowout. All right, thanks for watching this video. Make sure you like, subscribe. I'm previewing every single bowl game this season. Make sure you watch all those previews. Don't want to miss out on a single one. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, go Big Blue!